Hello, tennis fans, and welcome to a rainy, blustery, overcast tennis at home. I hope you're keeping it sunny on the inside. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Cristobal Valverde. Today we're going to be covering the return of serve. Stay tuned. There have been many great returners in the game of tennis, and they all have maybe a little bit different way of going about returning. And I want to break down maybe three different stylistic categories for you to think about and maybe look to see which one might work best for you and which one you might want to think about emulating a little bit. In our first category, we have the outfielders, I like to call them. These are players that are going to stand way back in the court. They're going to hit with big, long, loopy strokes. They're going to hit a high ball over the net with plenty of margin and with plenty of topspin. So players like Arantxa Sanchez, Vicario, Gabriela Sabatini. Of course, you have Rafa Nadal, Sergei Bruguera come to mind. Then we have the players that are going to stand a little bit closer to the baseline. They're going to be hugging the baseline, so to speak. And this type of player is going to have a shorter backswing, of course. Their return is going to be a lot flatter and lower over the net through the court. Marginal spin on their shots. You want to think of players such as Andre Agassi, Novak Djokovic comes to mind. Of course, Jimmy Connors, a great returner. Monica Seles. And the Williams sisters. Those are all players that tend to have this style of return. And then we have the wanderers, the nomads, the artistes, if you will. Now, these players tend to change their position around a little bit more than some of the others. They also tend to change the type of return that they're going to hit. So they hit with underspin, heavy topspin, flat. They kind of tend to do it all depending on the situation. Players in this style include John McEnroe, Roger Federer, Ash Barty, Stan Wawrinka, and I think maybe to some extent maybe Sophia Kenin as well. So those are three different styles of returns, three different categories, if you will, and look to see again which one might work best for you. What kind of stroke do you like to hit? What does your stroke look like, and which one might suit your game the best? Now, what do these different styles of returners have in common? Well, first of all, physically, they have excellent balance. They have an amazing athletic foundation, wide low base, excellent core, rigid back, very quiet arms, and a still head. And subtly, they are great at exhaling. You'll notice that a lot of those players make a loud "ie" or sound. Well, what are they doing? They're exhaling. They know that holding their breath in causes tension, and tension causes constriction, which inhibits movement. We want to make sure that we're exhaling so that we stay relaxed. We can extend through the contact zone and into our target area. Now, technically, I think one of the most important things that all of these players do is they have an excellent turning radius between their ready to receive position and their ready to strike position. Now, I'm not talking about the shape of their swing. I'm just talking about the position of when they're getting ready to return serve and their unit turn. You'll notice that their hands aren't too far away from themselves. They're not starting their swing in front of them here. They're actually just turning those hips and shoulders, keeping the racket in the hand fairly close to their bodies. Another thing that you'll notice is they have an excellent split step. A split step is going to allow you to overcome inertia. It's going to get you in motion. It's going to lift you off the ground slightly. You're going to be weightless, and you're going to be ready to pounce on the return and move efficiently. So that's another thing that's really important, is that split step. Making sure that you're already in motion as the ball is up in the air and being struck by the server. Lastly, the intangibles, and this is probably one of my favorite categories. What great servers do is that they tend to disguise their serve, so it's really tough to pick up on where they're going to be serving. Now, if you're a great returner, you have to use what's called broad vision to see if there's any subtle tells, any giveaways, any cues as to where the server is going to be locating their delivery. Broad vision is different than narrow vision in that narrow vision is really just focusing on the ball. Your opponent's hit the ball, it's coming towards you. You want to use narrow vision as you're tracking the ball to your racket. Broad vision means looking at the ball, looking at the angle of the hips and the shoulders, the foot position of the server, and where they're standing along the baseline to serve. Also, the arm motion and where the ball is located relative to their bodies. This is more of what I would call broad vision. Now, Boris Becker, one of the greatest servers of all time, arguably, was having a conversation with Andre Agassi, and Andre Agassi said, "Hey, Boris, I could pick up where you were serving." Boris, of course, asked, "Well, Andre, how did you know where I was going to serve?" And Andre said, "Well, Boris, I could tell where you were serving based on where you stuck your tongue out." Now, in order to pick up the subtle cue of Becker's dangling tongue out of his mouth, Andre Agassi would, of course, have to use broad vision. If he was just watching the ball coming out of Becker's hand, he might have not picked up that subtle tell of the tongue sticking out and noticing the correlation between that and where Becker was serving. The last thing is rituals. So great players have excellent in-between point rituals. Nadal comes to mind, of course, because we kind of tend to notice his in-between point rituals more than other players. But in-between point rituals are so important because they will ready the mind and body to take action and to perform. So you'll see players kind of twirling their racket or playing with their strings or going to the towel and maybe walking into their serving area by focusing on a certain area of the court. So great players have excellent in-between point rituals. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you on the court soon. Bye-bye.